Welcome to Warrior Wednesdays. This is a very special episode for a couple of reasons. One, because the couple who you see here have chosen one of the charity they've worked with is one that's near and dear to my heart in the Arthritis Foundation. But two, this is the first email submission honoree we've had. You guys know I've said you can go to WarriorWednesdays@matteisman.com, and that's how I met this amazing couple, Steve and Liz Vachon. So thank you for joining me. Your story, Liz, you wrote about Steve, but I wanted you both on here because it's just unbelievable. So I kind of teased it a little bit with the Arthritis Foundation, but why don't you guys tell me why you're here on Warrior Wednesdays?
Well, I nominated Steve because he does have pretty severe arthritis, which he can say the name better than I can, which is
enteropathic spondyloarthropathy, which is essentially arthritis of the spine and chest.
Yeah.
So he discovered that it actually kind of goes back to when he first was diagnosed with colitis when he was 23. And so he already has this autoimmune disease. And then as he progressed through the years, he was having a lot of different kinds of pain that included a lot mostly in his chest, where for 2 years, he didn't sneeze. For many years, we didn't give him big tight hugs because it would be too painful. Just
it was also to the point when I actually met with a rheumatologist, like my breathing was completely diaphragm breathing. My chest would not move at all from breathing because it was so painful that I would just avoid that. So for the longest time, I was only diaphragm breathing.
But you're still working during this time.
I'm still working. I for a year or two, I still coached my daughters because I just enjoy it, and you just kind of had to fight through it because what else are you gonna do?
He fought through because he really he was taking about 12 Motrin a day just to sort of take the edge off, which it really never did. And he was always guarded. He was always in pain. He couldn't just come and sit and lounge on the couch with us. He'd have to sit in a straight back chair, a hard kitchen chair. He just, he's a guy that's just so full of life. And as he was only 30 at the time, he was only in his late 30s and really was like a 90-year-old body. And It was painful to watch. And so there was a moment it was a family party. We always have big get-togethers for birthdays, and he was standing in our basement and reaching up and just trying to stretch his back out. And my niece happened to run into him with just one of those toy cars. And any person that would be bumped into would be not affected the way that he was, but it brought him to tears. It was so painful, just the jarring movement. And that's when I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't watch you anymore. So I did a lot of research, and I made sure that I was finding just the best doctor I could. And I said, we are going, because we had been to a rheumatologist before, and they just kind of threw some pamphlets at us and said, Here you go, figure it out. Here's this drug, Humira. It might work for you, but it has insane side effects. And they were terrifying. And so we didn't do that then, but we were now at this point where he was just in so much pain, and not being able to hug him really tight, and it was just nobody wanted to watch him be in the pain that he was in. So we went to the doctor, and it was like almost like our last shot, felt like, and the doctor spent a lot of time with us, and he really explained how this medicine would help. And he gave us a free sample, and we waited till some tests cleared before he could take it. So it was just sitting in the fridge.
Right. It was there, and I was like, because one of the side effects is you're susceptible to tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. So they make sure that you don't have any tuberculosis. So I did get my TB test results back, and I was just waiting. Finally, like Thursday, it was a Thursday morning. I was at work. I got the test. I'm like, I need to go do this. I drove home at lunch, took the medication on Thursday. And I remember driving home from work on Friday. Like the pain was almost completely gone. That afternoon, drove home from work. I was able to pick up my wife and spin her around.
And
So
we
It was
all
amazing. It was overnight.
it was overnight, and we
24 hours.
Yes, we were
Pain that had been with you for years.
Yeah.
years. At least we were closing in on about 7 years of him, and his back had started to fuse. And one of the things the doctor said to us was, if you don't do something, he will be in a wheelchair in 10 years. And he was, at the time, he was 35. So now he's old. He's 41. I'm not 40 yet, so I can say that.
I think some of our viewers who are over 40 may take offense to being called old.
I can only,
that
that's
age.
only because I'm approaching 40 that I razz him.
I'm kidding.
So we, he took the medicine, and it really truly was overnight. But previously, I had always done the Jingle Bell Run, which is for arthritis, and in support of him. And there was a December he watched myself and his daughters all run this race for him, and he stood there on the sidelines, not able to do this. And he told me after we were done that the next year he was going to do this, that he was going to run that race. So he was able to. That
was my first 5K.
It was
the following
amazing.
December.
But at the point you say this, you're racked with pain.
Yeah.
This is just you saying, I'm not going to be sitting on the sidelines.
Well,
And then you end up
at
getting
that
this
point, I think we might have had the appointment for the rheumatologist, but we hadn't seen him yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So in my mind, I was just like, no, this is going to work. This is going to do it. And next year, I'm doing this race.
We're there. We're at the race. We all have signs and shirts all made, and it's snowing like insane.
Yeah, the night before, it was like 4 inches of snow.
Yeah. So he's
Detroit.
running.
Yep.
Yes. He's going, and what did you finish?
I finished. It's like 27 minutes. I think I placed first for my age group.
And we're all like, we're at the sidelines.
I was in tears coming into the finish
We're
line.
all crying. It was incredible. All the little girls, all our daughters were standing there, all bundled up, but cheering for their daddy. And the race officials noticed us, and then they came and talked to us, and I told them our story. And then sure enough, like about a year-ish later, they contacted us and asked Steve to be the adult honoree for the Jingle Bell Run. So then we were really excited.
Yep.
And Steve did a lot of fundraising. We all did.
Yeah, I think we raised, it was either somewhere between $5,000 to $6,000 for our team.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
This story is so amazing because one of the things I love is the sense of hope that you retained throughout this, Steve, that you're going through something where you're being told you're in a wheelchair. But the other thing I love, which I think is such a valuable lesson, is that you talked to a rheumatologist who brought up Humira, but who clearly didn't form a connection and really explain it to you. And that's one of the things I think that people need to know is you really have to be your own best advocate, because nobody cares about your health as much as you do. And it's such a lesson to say, I'll be, as a former doctor, I will tell you, doctors are human too. Yeah. And whether we have the right information or not, sometimes we don't make that human connection. And if you don't feel that connection, it's so important for you to feel empowered to go out and find someone with whom you feel comfortable. And it's, you guys are proof of why.
Yes.
It was a silver bullet. They just didn't give it to you.
Yep.
Correct. I mean, it truly, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. You have to be your own advocate and find the people that you do feel comfortable with, and that will actually take the time to listen to you. I mean, that when we finally found the right doctor, I mean, we knew we were in the right place because his business card said that he was the diplomat of rheumatology. So I looked at Steve, I said, this has got to be right? He's the diplomat. I don't know what that means, but I love it.
It was crazy because like that first appointment, he actually sat and talked with us for like almost an hour and a half, which, I mean, usually you go to doctors, they try to get you in and out. Yeah. I mean, the amount of time he just spent and went over everything, it was
awesome. And we did feel heard. And he definitely knew, because Steve had colitis. He's like, I guarantee he also has this special genetic mutation, and that's why he has this specific type of arthritis.
And was he right?
He was right.
Yep.
Wow.
He was very right. So he knew what he was talking about. We felt very comfortable, and no, in the end, he really told us that your quality of life is just so important, and you're gonna miss out on so many things, and if you don't do this. And he really almost was pleading with us, and we listened and did it, and it completely changed his life. We have friends that know Steve before and know Steve after Humira, and he is a very different person.
Yeah.
Is the guy I fell in love with came back to life. He has this great personality, and we're just happy to have him.
So that's one of the things too, I think, is when you talk about risks and rewards with the medication, and you often hear the risks. Obviously, when you see the commercials, you hear the side effects, but you're proof of sometimes, and Steve, you can attest to this, what it's like when you feel, and Liz, obviously you saw it too, that ability to enjoy life is being taken from you.
Right.
And that ability to participate in. And it's one thing when it's the two of you, but you have 3 incredible daughters too.
Yeah.
So Steve, what's it like, as you said, in your 30s, being a 90-year-old man? That was something that I experienced with RA, but how is it going through that?
I mean, it's almost like you're just kind of existing. You're not enjoying life. You're just going through the motions just to kind of try and make it through the day.
And how do you try to explain this? Your girls were pretty young, obviously.
Yeah, really, of the 3 of them, our oldest really only remembers much of it, but it was just one of those things where, you have to tell them, you be careful, you can't jump up at me and hug me, you can't squeeze me too tight because it would just be too painful. Yeah. It was hard.
It's hard, and to not be able to keep up in a way, and one of my favorite examples to talk about is setting up Christmas, and how much that takes. You have all these big bins of supplies in your basement, and you haul them up. And
that would be an all-day effort for me to just bring the boxes upstairs.
Yeah.
And then I'd be done for the day.
And he would crash on the couch.
So every Christmas now, it's amazing. We have 6 to 8 boxes of stuff, and in an hour, I just lift it up and down. It's no big deal. But I remember it took an entire day just to bring the stuff up.
Right. And as you look back on it now, so how were you coping with this? What do you think you were doing that was working? Because I know there's so many people out there who are in that phase where they haven't necessarily found their silver bullet.
I don't. I guess I just always been an optimist, and I've always just kind of been just a go with the flow kind of person. So it was one of those things where I was like, well, this is it. So I don't have a choice other than to just work through it.
I know he has spoke about this before, where his daughters are really, he knew he had to keep going for them. And there was a time that we did the Jingle Bell Run. It wasn't the time that he was an honoree. It was just a different time. He was we did the race together. We're driving home. We were kind of stuck in some traffic, and he told me something that I didn't know ever. And he said there was a point where he thought about how maybe just not going on anymore.
Oh.
And the pain was so bad that he just didn't know if he could. But he said, but I always thought about you guys. So I didn't do that.
Oh.
And it was, people who don't know, living with that kind of pain is, you don't know until you live through that kind of pain. And even I didn't feel the pain. I just saw the pain. And knowing how he had to exist with that pain 24/7, it was never gone. It's never gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he did it. I would hear him moaning in his sleep when he would try to roll over, and that's moments that he didn't even know were happening to him. So living with pain is so hard, and I think that if people, having a good support system is probably one of the best things you can do to get through it, because sometimes you just don't things aren't going to work, or medicines might not work, and you have to keep
Absolutely.
trying.
Well,
And
Liz, I mean, you can see the emotion. Obviously, that
it's hard not to. It's hard not to.
Of course, it's something where, it's not just the person going through it; it's the whole family. Everyone who
Right.
loves you is impacted by these diseases, by these challenges that people face, and that's those things that it's so important to realize. Taking care of yourself through this, but the amazing thing to me is, Steve, you had such an optimistic outlook, or not optimistic, but I guess this sense of, I'm not going to let the pain limit me. But Liz, it was your stubbornness that really seemed to make the difference by saying, well, Steve had the go with the flow attitude, which is incredible. I love that you had this sense of, I'm not going to accept this. And that's what ended up you finding the diplomat of rheumatology. Right. And I think it's this balancing act. It's so important, because what a lesson, Steve, for people who might be suffering right now and might be feeling that they're at their end of their rope, that you never know. That hope should never be taken away, because you don't know what could be waiting for you around the corner.
Right. It's very true. And now he's able to do all kinds of things. He runs, he works out, he does Ninja Warrior. He does he does it with the girls, our whole family. So it's just.
So Steve, you were headed towards a wheelchair in just a few years. Now you're training Ninja Warrior, running. You've been given a reprieve.
Right.
So what do you feel? Has it given you a sense of purpose? Is there something that you feel that you want to do other than the obvious of just enjoy your family in a way that you couldn't before?
I don't know, not necessarily. I don't know that it's given me a specific purpose. It's just, I don't know. I had always enjoyed being active, so being able to get back to that was just is just a nice feeling.
Being the dad you always wanted,
and he's a coach, and he does so much for our girls. He's like downplaying everything. He does a lot. He makes dinner every night. He is home for the girls when he gets home from work. He is there, present. He's now coaching 2 soccer teams. He runs the girls to all of their after school activities, because he has a job where he can go really early in the morning and get home a little earlier. And his sense of purpose is truly his family.
Yeah. Well, that's what it should be, which is wonderful. So Liz, what's it like for you? The emotion is pouring out of you. What's it like, to have this man, like you said, the man you fell in love with, and then you see him going away, changing, becoming this 90-year-old man, to get him back? What's it like for you and for your daughters to have this second chance?
We're really lucky. We're really lucky, because I know that not everybody has this. I know that not everybody has that magic medicine, and I do think about what could have been, what our life would have been like, and it's scary. And now we're just gonna keep on going, and as you should in life, you just keep plugging along. And now we can do it with smiles on our faces. Things are just a little bit easier. And I know that he will be here for a long time, be here for our girls. And even though he had a couple medical issues after this all got cleared up, the poor guy found out he had a heart defect and had heart surgery a year and a half ago.
Oh my goodness.
And that was really scary. So I said, okay, you're done. Like, we're done with all the stuff. You've had all the things, and now we're just going to have a nice, happy life.
Right. Well, to me, though, what a perspective you guys have, having been through this, to know that you have the strength. How do you guys feel now, having been through such an ordeal where, 7, 8, 9 years of just degenerating, and yet you guys fought through it, and you found the light at the end of the tunnel? How do you feel when you're faced with these new challenges? Do you guys have this different outlook now, or this different sense of confidence and hope?
I think I don't know. I could see Steve. I have seen Steve sometimes go, are you kidding me? More? And, but he kind of does it in a lighthearted way because he really is so positive. And so I always just have this faith that he's going to be okay, because he's going to be okay. And also, he has to be okay. He has to be okay because he's my guy. He's my rock. And
of course.
And he, so I think we do have a pretty positive outlook on it.
I still, though, from having years of having been in so much pain, even though it's been so long, there's still times where, like, especially doing like the ninja and stuff, before I start like trying something new, still in my head, it's in my, oh, I got to protect my body. I got to do this. I'm probably not going to be doing, but I get into it and I'm like, oh wait, no, I still can do this.
I love
it's you still forget that just all of those years kind of put into your brain. Oh, I just be a little tentative. It'll be okay. You know.
Traumatic. I mean, it really is to have your body taken away from you.
Yeah.
So I think I know the answer. But, you know, as the honoree, you guys, I'm going to make a $250 donation to the charity of your choice. Is there a charity you guys would like this money to go to?
Absolutely.
Yes, we do. The Arthritis Foundation.
Please tell us. Oh, I love it. I love it. So what has the Arthritis Foundation meant during this struggle? Obviously, you were involved with it before, but what has the Arthritis Foundation meant to you guys?
Well,
I mean, for us, it's just kind of like we've interacted with it mainly through the Jingle Bell Run. So it's kind of given me a focus of I saw my family do the races, and it gave me something to focus on and train for.
But they also but I was in the background there when he was running, and I spoke to a whole lot of people, and we really talked about how the Arthritis Foundation was the monies that they raise and they make are making these medicines that are helping everyone. And then I got to stand there and tell these people, it's working. It's working. Look at my husband out there. He's doing this, and he was a mess before. And now your all of the monies that people raise and donate, it really truly is making a difference and helping create and fund all of the research that's needed for these medicines.
Well, Steve, you and I are both walking proof of what the Arthritis Foundation has done. So I want to give you guys the last word, and for couples out there, for families out there who might be going through what you're going through, but haven't found their silver bullet yet, who are out there, who are in that dark part, what advice would you give them?
You got to keep fighting.
Keep fighting, stick together, talk about it.
Yeah.
I think talking about it makes a big difference, because when Steve dropped that bomb on me and I had no idea that he was having those feelings of maybe not wanting to continue, I sobbed. And I knew that was a reality that had happened a couple years prior, but he didn't tell me because he was suffering in silence in some ways. So I truly believe that you need to talk to your loved ones, and you need to talk to people that understand what you're going through. Even if they can't help you with fixing you, you need to talk to people.
Well, that's it. It's that support, and it's that love, and it's sharing. And I think that's what this is all about with Warrior Wednesdays, is sharing our stories so people don't feel so alone, because no one should have to go through this alone. So I hope people will hear your story and be inspired. I love that message of communicating. And Liz, thank you for reaching out to me. This is what I love about Warrior Wednesdays, is people sharing stories. And for you guys to share it, I can't thank you enough. So Steve and Liz Vachon, thank you, the Arthritis Foundation. And you guys said it. This is how I end every Warrior Wednesdays. And you said it, Steve. Keep fighting. So thank you, guys.